Our story begins with the emergence of the most powerful human warrior ever. While he was about to die 60 years in the future, incomprehensible with the strength of his devil inside him, the only way to escape its miserable fate is to continue to develop. In the end, everyone says that everyone died. So I am the same as the strongest warrior on the verge of death as well. The title of the strongest does not really suit me, even though I killed all the 7 demons, already rejoicing. Why the old monument did not contain the presence of 8 wings? We humans do not even know the real fighting capabilities of demons. All of this is my sins. I did not have to take over its strongest responsibilities. The red devil, flipping from the inch, says what to do because I killed many of his followers who want to torture my bodies. The construction of events moves to a time other than the time when he was fighting demons, waking up. While standing between a group of trainees, he says he did not believe what happens where I am. What happens? This does not seem. This is a dream. What is happening is inspecting his face and then screaming, saying this is not my handsome face, the beautiful, and my wonderful body. Where is my body? Who am I? Where am I? The coach tells them to understand well. What does the participation in the warrior test mean to those who call the warriors represent protection and hope? The third commander of the detention city, Jiao Tang, says the third commander. In the year 3069 on that day, a giant monument fell 60 from the sky. The catastrophe of the disaster of our planet is creatures called demons. We are humans. After testing this harsh fighting, which is about to make us extinct, we finally invented a strong enough way to address demons called vaccination equipment, in which the nuclei use the demons that we collect, allows humans to temporarily obtain a demon's force. Through vaccination 60 years ago, our largest and strongest warrior in human history, Aang, the man who is known as the King of Warriors, led all the warriors of the world in a historic fighting from the highest level against the crowds of demons, causing the destruction of the world at the end. Human warriors were forced into the demons to retreat with severe injuries, in exchange for a period of 60 years of development until today. Aang says to himself after he woke up in the body of a 60-year-old trainee, "Did you travel 60 years in the future?" The coach says at the same time, "We lost many strong warriors. Even the strongest human warrior, Aang, is said to have died during the fighting against countless demons at the level. This is the greatest war between humans and demons, as it represents the resolve of the human race to fight and initiate a new dawn, and is also called the Hope of Hope," Anij says to himself, after he woke up in the body of one of the trainees. Both the highest level of demons. It was not 7 wings, but 8 wings. I do not remember clearly, but I really saw him. Humans have never realized the real power of demons. The third rule says, we were not to become what we are now without them. The human race was not present today without the warriors. This is what protects and hope for the most estimated identity. You must understand what it means to be warriors, scream the trainees while they are enthusiastic. Yes, the devil, who is inside the body of Anil, does not. The third leader goes towards Aang, who says, "It seems to me that you did not understand what the warrior means. What is your name?" Aang thinks about himself and says, "Should I experience my identity as Aang? But will anyone believe that I am 60 years ago, while I am in this weak body now?" The third leader says, "I have never thought that this may happen. You are a shame on the most proud name. Your name is the same name. Just a fool who does not even understand the basics of discipline. Yet they have been reduced to reducing this great name." And he says, "This is not forgiven." Anij says in itself, the cursing of this body is very weak and cannot respond even to this trivial multiplication. But I did not expect to have the same name. The third commander says, while testing the warrior, "I will make sure that you give you more attention," shouting at the trainees, listening to the test of the test now. It is time for the physical test. I go to one of the trainees and says, "Are you fine? Your name?" Anij, "It is good for my name, because Si Nu says one." What an arrogant person. do you think that you call yourself Aang? You will become wonderful like him. Aang says that this girl has a very gazali behavior. What is my engagement to her relationship with my name? She is from the family, the owner of the strongest fighting art. Aang says Seto. This title has not looked at Malova Sino, helping him to get up. One of the participants takes a picture to them. Say, my God, what an attractive view. You can ignore me, comrades. Only follow what you are doing. Aang looks at her and says, who are you? Just taking a picture. She says, my name is Jojio Yuhai. Aang says, even if you are in this weak body, you are still the strongest warrior. Dare to talk to the warriors in front of me. What a joke. I will use my wonderful skills in the test to shock everyone. The first test starts. The physical test is running for long distances. They set out, saying that you are well. I will use the full speed, get the first place, and break the previous record. The subscribers start, but Aang gets the last position. Some subscribers say that the record has ever destroyed the long distances. Angie, my God, says that this body is weaker than I was imagining. The second physical test area. The last center is the third physical test area. The last center in the results of the physical test. The worst in history alone is sufficient to make you an anadmus. The coach tells the third leader, Ya Tang. The results of that person are very bad. So much that he needs the second tour of the test anymore. People incredibly, let's get it out. And Commander Tang says, although he does not have any hope in success, it has the full right to participate in the second tour of the test. This may be the last test, probably, the second round of the train test. It informs them through the sound device. Now the beginning of the second tour. The second tour. Test. The test rate of the vaccination devices, please. Participants are directed to the examination area. Anij says in himself the test of his vaccination. My opportunity for 60 years has been the rate of my vaccination. However, the rate of the synchronization depends on the strength of the will of these miscreants who mocked me and mocked me. Just wait for you. How great the average of its stronger warrior is the average warrior. Although this body is heinous, the rate of synchronization depends on the strength of the will of these misconducts who mocked me and only mocked me. Wait. I will give you the extent of the bone of its stronger warrior, wearing the device, and says, if this is what the vaccination device has become a 60-year, it is much lighter. Ban Si says this is very enthusiastic. I can feel tremendous momentum below the skinny body. I am also feeling it because see, he says. But you don't look tense at all. After that, the test continues to show many people pain expressions. While activating the vaccination device, the body is forced to withstand a huge amount of pressure in the first time that connects to the vaccination device. Because he has to bear the effect of power from Satan's intention, some choose to surrender because they cannot bear pain. Women needed only 10% synchronous to pass the test. Of course, some people showed unexpected results. The coach says that there are some talented people in this test. Yes, including Jojio Yuhei. 6 are 30% and above. Even those who approach the average normal warrior. This is equal to his city from the rank. The trainer says this batch of new warriors is not a bad quality in the overall, but there are some of the worst quality. Angie, ready to go looking at the coach while he is a happy smile with what will happen. He goes to the device. The trainees say, hey, he will be tested now. With the body of this, the blood is met upon activation of the device. It got the last position in all tests in the first tour. Aang says to himself, laugh, as you want, you trivial children, only do not be shocked. Later. The coaches tell that the red nucleus will choose the definition of the nucleus that is collected 6 types of devil nucleus from the battlefield. The most common among the 6 is red, yellow, green, and red-blue. It represents strength, and yellow represents defense, and green represents healing, and blue represents the speed. and the rare among them is the purple, which represents the illusion, and the black that represents the place and time. This is called vaccination, and the most important is the strength of the will of the will of the will determines the criterion of the individual's tolerance for the nucleus of Satan and also determines the synchronization rate, which leads to the success of the vaccination. One of the laboratory workers asks, "Aang, are you ready to tell them?" While he is confident of himself. "Yes, let them start, please." In the relaxation room, they reach a strong radiation from Aang. Jojo Yuhei says in itself, "This is a strong reaction. This is because of him," says Aang. "Open your eyes and listen to me by cursing you all." Because it seems that brother Aang was hiding his true strength. The synchronization rate is increasing quickly. He escalated immediately to 40%. The power of Anij increases until it reached 60%. The coach looks at him and says, What is happening? What is this crazy synchronization rate? From where did the mistake happen?" The coach says it is still increasing. It has reached 80%. "What is this?" Seen by his colleagues and say, "What is happening? There must be a line in the device." Aang says to himself, "I am the king, who is known to everyone as the strongest warrior. Had it not been for this nucleus very low, and had it not been for this body to be very weak, my condition alone would make you hide. You, comrades, this is the difference between us. You young people." Suddenly, the energy is dispersed from his body and screams from the pain. "No," one of the doctors says, "stop, this body cannot withstand the rite of hell, as there is something wrong in this device." The doctor looks at the device and says that the rate of the synchronization decreased immediately to 10%. One of the coaches says to the leader of the report, he now discovered that the Satan nucleus is broken. It is likely that it is an abnormal type, which caused a problem with the data, and this was shocking. The leader says, "Is the device a problem?" "Well, the synchronization rate is 10% in the end." "So does the doctor say yes, just enough to pass?" Aang says to himself, "I knew that happened because the nucleus of a demon." It was unnaturally saying, his colleagues and themselves. Yes, looking at his weak body, it is unreasonable to obtain such a frightening force. This synchronization rate is almost equivalent. He goes because to Aang to reassure him, "You are fine, brother Aang." He does because he transferred him to the restroom. Says Aang, "I have really competed against these young, but fortunately succeeded." In the restroom Aang says, "What happened? I felt as if all my energy was dissipated. Judicially did not happen before. With my will, I must be able to obtain a coincidence rate of at least 80%. Even this low rate should not fade. So why, wherever he is immersed in thinking, the leader arrives and says, so that you can all stand up to his straightness. Congratulations to everyone. Now you will take the last tour of the test. I hope that everyone can pass the test safely." That one of the coaches shouts on them and says, "So lined with your arrangement in the list, and move to the third test area now." The leader looks at Anij while he is exhausted after the choice. The leader looks at his place and finds the nucleus. "Let me see your performance in the next tour in the hunting test." Behind the wall in the fog, after gathering in the city's yard, they are waiting for the commander's orders to open the gate. The commander commands to open the gate to go out to train to hunt the demons. They say, the trainees in themselves, "My God, it is the first time in which I got out of the city. I think everything is located in fog behind these walls." Aang says, after this 60 years, everyone has lived in isolated areas like this. The leader says, "Stop speaking and move quietly if you have this amount of energy. So use it to verify your equipment first. So do not blame fate if you pass away." Anij says that the nucleus of another force has been given. Yet I do not think that the problem was in that nucleus. When the rate of the synchronization declined, it seemed there was something inside me rejecting the nucleus. What is the kind of this case? Is it from the punishment for traveling through time that comes out of the city's gate? A directive from the authority of Satan, which is inside anal. It is felt by all demons on the ground. One of the demons appears. He says that there is impossible. There is a devastating monster more higher than me. Anij says to himself, "What is this?" For the moment, My interior self seemed deeply resonant with the world. Seto says, will she be accused of going, or not? He says to her, this is my mistake. He says, because what engaged you, Anij? You say the coach. You are in the back. There are 4 of you, right? You will be one group if everyone is prepared, so come quickly. The monument of the stone excitement is a black statue built from the stone. From the stones used to construct one of them with a special structure, capable of scattering fog. The 3rd test coach says he is conducted in groups of 4. I am sure that you, comrades, are aware of the details already. The test is hunting behind the walls in the midst of fog. We will now distribute the elements that each group must possess. A combat dagger and a shield that is scattered by miniature fog made from the same stone used in the monument of stone excitement. Your test is simple. Enter the fog until you reach the lit area. They prepared a shield that was scattered by mini fog and hunted the devil monsters. The performance of everyone will be held according to individual capabilities and teamwork, and therefore you will give your degrees good luck to each group. Fishing behind the walls amid fog is the last thing that every beginner must confront in this world that is already devoured by fog. The dangers that the warriors await are hidden in order to become a warrior that does not require fitness and efficiency only. Rather, it requires a steadfast heart and mentality to confront the risks behind the fog and confront the unknown, to work with your colleagues and his compatibility, and the acquisition of the vision and the killing of the devils that appear on your sight, and finally do its alignment to get the title of the warrior. The coach ends the evaluation of the first group and the second group, orders to prepare themselves. One of the coaches is one of the coaches. There are quite a few beginners and talented people, but my goal is clear. I am only interested in Sito Liu. The second commander in the Helios Dada Jiao area says the first commander of the Helios Kiao Air region may become the mutants of the fighting families. The third commander, Tan, says there is another person who is noticeable. His broken nuclei has been carefully examined and had no mistake. The second leader of the Helios Dada Jiao area says, then what happened to him? Exactly what you think, Tang. The third leader says, do not call me this name. The first leader says, the only person. What makes you the blush red is Zhao Alice. Tang. Zhao says the degree of diabolical monsters has been checked. Isn't it incomplete devil monsters within the evaluation range? Leader Tang says, do not worry to maintain their safety. We took several days to make sure that the area surrounding the Helios area, it does not contain a complete demonic monster. Commander Kiao Airhai says if there is one right, we will have to sacrifice everything to protect future warriors. The coach says the test of this group has ended. The equipment has been completed, so the next group will prepare. Ang colleagues say it is the Seto Liu collection. I not believe. The presence of Anal is already preparing to start the fight. Seto Liu says it is our role, and she says, do you try to keep pace with, you say, this lavish? Most of her attention is to shed light on it. They catch up with it and install the magic stone on the ground. The second leader says, Zhao, I see this despite the fact that its nucleus is of the type of recovery, but its capabilities are no less than those who have the nucleus. These are the real capabilities of a person with the fight of martial arts family. Ang Lan Si paved the way for us, because insulting is progressing and attacking demons. The third commander looks Tang and says he is not bad. He already has high skills to take advantage of the strength of the nucleus. Aang attacks the demons and says, let us kill them all, one after the other. The team attacks and kill the demons, because Si and Yahe attack Satan with a force. The first Captain Air says these two are amazingly, especially that girl with her agile blue nucleus. Her body seems to be more with the rhythm. Seto Liu attacks the devil, does one of the technologies. Aang targets a demonic monster and says to himself, I will target all 3 points, the neck, chest, and abdomen. He says to himself, the explosive power of this delicate body is really limited. Let's seize the opportunity to choose what this body is to do. The devil attacks Anij, La Aang, The attack is useful and stabbed in a lining. It says the speed of the reaction is slow. The monster is trying to attack Eng. The attack is used and says poor movement coordination, which eliminates it. The power explosion says is not enough because C says, Brother Eng, this monster was easily overwhelmed. The three leaders look at the group. The second leader says, Zhao, oh my god, from the skinny boy, impressive. The first leader says, not only in advanced movement, very majestic. Anij says to himself that it is the last opportunity in front of this body. I cannot even hide my previous basic skill. He looks at the monster and says, a little while before the movement, he hit a single breath for the one. It is a truly bad tactic. My individual evaluation has ended, and now I must also end you. Between what was attacking Satan, a devil appears from under the ground and kills the devil, who is fighting the leaders of the leaders. The trainees scream that he is a one fine demon and run away from the training site. The first and second leader goes to help the trainees, while the third leader hit the astonishment and did not move. Zhao says, don't panic, you will be safe with Captain Jai Tang. Oh comrades, he will lead you to the city with the safe city. The Satan with a soul says human beings with a demonic aura. Which one of you possesses it? This is a devil with a fin. Those losing demons previously, it cannot be compared to this. Satan is arrested by Seto Liu, saying to herself, it seems as if I would tear if I tried to blink, so that I cannot move. Absolutely. Ang Jetty says it is not identical to the Satan with the single fin for the first time. I understand the feeling of tyranny with which the entity of ordinary soldiers is facing when they face it. The Satan decides that he will take everyone. The first commander says, Kiao, how dare to touch them? He leaves Satan with a fin, and he says, oh people. The second leader, Zhao Dada, says, are you getting rid of these for candidates? The first leader, Kiao tells them the right to him. They followed the Satan with the Smalfa. Zhao Dada says the effects have stopped here. I am a Satan with a fingering fin. Tang examined the area for several days to ensure that it is safe. It was never in this matter of cursing such a thing that did not happen before. Between what they were talking about, the leader Tang arrives and asks them where the children scream, and say why you stopped. We must continue to catch up with them. Chiaho calm yourself. Tang. This is where the effects are over. Zhao Dada says it seems that the devil, who appeared hiding somewhere at the bottom here. The area in front of us is an unaccounted area, and it will not be wise to deal with it quickly. The third commander Tang remembers that he could not help his brother before. He gets angry and hit the ground and says the curse. This is my fault. My mistake is to leave. This happens. The first commander says, Kiao we must return first. It is possible that panic has been broken in the hearts of the city. Leader Zhao Dada says it is not good that no three of us are there. We will send a research team later to investigate the region, to confirm whether there are any other demons. Tang. These are for children. What happened to them was outside the scope of our will, but we need to collect the diaspora ourselves. I know this is difficult for you. The third leader, Tang, stops and says you can return. I will continue to search in the region, so do not worry. The first leader says, Mahara, you are serious, Tang. Zhao Dada says, well, but make sure you return before sunset. Looking at them and saying, well, I will do and go to search for them. Zhao Dada is arrested. You know that we cannot stop, says Kiao. I know a sister has been kidnapped by demons, and he always blamed himself for that. Zhao Dada says if his brother is still alive, he would have been the biggest of such children. These children remind him of his brother. The story is transferred to Anil while he is underground. He says, where is this place? Is we under the ground looking at his friends? He says that it appears that all of them have not passed away yet. Satan with a single fin. Did you wake up as expected? You woke up quickly. You are different. I am very curious. Why do I smell your smell as if you were one of us? How can you, as a human being, have a demonic state, and even stronger than me? Aang gets angry and says what is this dreaded nonsense that is cut off? He goes and tries to attack Satan with a single finance. Satan escapes, Aang says to himself, the curse. If this was my previous life, I was able to kill it before the attack was received. I need to save the three of them. Aang, attacking Satan and saying that he is a devil with the red fin. High grace, with strong joints of luxury and superior attacks. But the fact that its joints lack the protection of his thick skin. He gives him strengths and weaknesses. Satan also attacks Aang and says this is useless.